right, tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Sean. This is Alyssa. Gus is in our hearts, and this is in our Rabbit Hole Daily. And we are learning more about India. This episode is all about why do North Indians look different from South Indians. So this isn't something that I've thought a lot about, but clearly whoever made this video has, and they're going to share their insights with us.
Yes, this is from Massaman.
Mm-hmm.
And
So we're going to get a sense of the genetic history here.
okay. Yeah, do we want to read the description?
Sure. Yeah.
Today we're going to answer the questions of why North and South Indians have such vastly varying features and look at the genetic history of South Asia as a whole. I'm not trying to offend anyone with my tangent on skin color discrimination in Bollywood and Indian society, merely stating a fact that Bollywood actors are of a much lighter complexion than the average Indian, so it's not fair to judge what the average Indian looks like by looking at South Indian celebrities. Indians with light skin are not any less Indian looking than Indians with dark skin. Don't post racist comments in my comment section. Thanks.
So clearly this is a bit of a contentious topic among Indians.
Well, I've heard of the Bollywood thing, and I was watching stuff about like Indians using like skin lightening treatments and stuff, and it's like it's sad that like they have that desired aesthetic, or like because I thought I saw things even like about like the casting, like calling maybe for lighter skin, or maybe not. I'm thinking about the like arranged marriage show, and they'll put their skin color in it, and they have like these terms like wheat color, like even like for the different like skin tones, and it was like, oh, if it's lighter skin, it's more desirable, or whatever. And it's like sort of sad that there's that discrimination like within India of, you know.
Yeah, I know in sort of Western society, for example, these days it's great if you have a tan. Everybody loves a tan.
Yeah,
it means that
like
you're rich and you can fly around the world and
you get
hang out on
made fun
beaches.
of if you're really pale. But like people are just like, oh, look at your pasty legs, and like you look
as I
sick.
understand, it used to be sort of the opposite back in the day, is that rich people preferred to have the white pasty skin because it was a indication that they weren't working in the fields.
Yeah.
And so it was sort of like only the rich and wealthy could have pale white skin because the rest of us poor folks were working in the fields and under the sun all day. So it'll be interesting to see what these folks have to say. I've just known there's like, you know, people look different in India and that, and like I didn't know that it was like, oh, North and South have like, you know, South India have like the similar features as each other, and then like North has whatever. I just know there was like variability. Yeah,
just
well, we
like,
know it's a very diverse country, right? They've got all
that's
sorts
the word
of
I was
different types
looking
of
for.
people. So
yeah, but there's a reason. Like I'm probably certain people migrated from different places.
So we're about
is what it's going to be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before we begin, let's just make one thing clear.
Ooh.
Indian is not an ethnicity, not a race, and definitely not a religion. India is currently the second most populous country in the world behind China. But it's not going to be that way for long.
I was just saying something about that.
At current population growth rates, India will become the world's most populous country for the first time in only 5 years.
Ahead of China.
5 years. I didn't know it was that soon.
For babies born on the earth.
Well, this video is like 4 years old too.
They probably won't ever remember a time in history when India wasn't the world's most populous country, as opposed to our generation and before, who always remember China as being the world's most populous country. India's population currently sits at around 1.3 billion people. And for perspective on how astronomically large that number is, the US currently only has about 25% of that number at around 300 million. So for every US American citizen, there are over 4 Indians.
Wow, that's a way to look at it.
When the rest of both North and South America are included, India still beats them out population-wise, seeing how the combined population of the Americas is only around 1 billion people. Clearly, there's a lot of people living there, and it's very easy for us living in the Western world to forget just how much their population dwarfs our own. Now, the reason for me saying all of this is that there's an immense amount of diversity in India, let alone the Indian subcontinent. Imagine all of the ethnic, linguistic, and religious diversity of the population of all of Africa.
Oh yeah, sort of squished into
stuffed
that.
into a country the
Yeah.
size of Argentina.
Interesting way of putting it. I
India
hadn't
is
thought of that.
obviously not
Yeah.
a homogenous country, but most people don't know just how truly diverse it is. And when you include the rest of South Asia, the situation gets even more complicated. South Asia, which is frequently referred to as the Indian subcontinent, is usually defined as the countries of Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, the Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. The western half of Pakistan is occasionally thought of as more Middle Eastern because their population has more in common with the Iranian-speaking peoples of Afghanistan and Iran, but we're going to include them with the rest of South Asia for this video. India has around 11 main ethnic groups, the largest of which being the Hindi-speaking peoples of northern India, that are very difficult to classify by ethnicity. There are, however, hundreds, maybe even thousands of smaller and much smaller ethnic groups in the entire region of South Asia, but for the most part, people of South Asia can be put into a few very large racial groups. The first peoples to have inhabited South Asia are believed to be the Dravidians. Dravidians are a racial group that live in the southern portion of India and also have ethnic groups scattered in the neighboring countries. They're believed to be related to the Melanesian people of the Pacific, such as people from Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and the Australian Aborigines. Because of this, they have features that are quite
Australian
distinct
Aborigines.
from any other group of people in India. The majority of the rest of the region is inhabited by speakers of Indo-European languages known as Indo-Aryans, being unrelated to the Nazi concept of the Aryan race, of course. The Indo-Aryan people migrated into northern India around 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, most likely traveling through Iran and Afghanistan into the subcontinent. They mixed with the native Dravidians of India, but retained their distinct languages and culture, which is why the Indo-Aryan languages of India are actually more closely related to the European languages than to the much closer geographically Dravidian languages, believe it or not. Indo-Aryan people inhabit the northern portion of India, all of Bangladesh, the southern part of Nepal, eastern Pakistan, the island chain of the Maldives, and the southern part of Sri Lanka. There's also a small Indo-Aryan ethnic group called the Rohingya people that are related to the Bengalis and bleed over into neighboring Burma, but that's a topic for another day.
A lot of information coming out of
various
us here.
ethnic groups make up around 16% of India's population and around 13% for South Asia as a whole, although this proportion is falling fast with birth rates in northern India far outpacing those in the south. Dravidian people generally are much darker in skin tone and hair color than the Indo-Aryans to the north, and have different facial features of wider noses, larger lips, and a more prominent brow ridge. Indo-Aryans mostly have lighter skin, less coarse hair, and more Middle Eastern sort of features. Now, it's very important to realize that skin color and facial features are on a spectrum in South Asia, meaning that anyone from any part of the region can have any of these traits, and some Indo-Aryan people from northern India could actually be darker than some Dravidian people from southern India. This is because of the extreme mixing that has gone on in the Indian subcontinent in the past few thousand years, with pretty much all Indo-Aryans having at least some Dravidian ancestry, and vice versa.
Please subscribe now.
And kick that bell.
It's important to note that judging what South Asian people look like by looking at celebrities from the region will definitely not give you an accurate picture as to what the average South Asian person looks like. It's actually very advantageous in the entertainment industries of India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh to have very fair skin and more European-looking features, so it's not uncommon to not find a single Indian actor or actress in Bollywood that has dark skin, despite large portions of their people having such skin color.
Oh, that's the
Even
lightning
Nina
cream.
Davuluri, who is famously the first person of Indian descent to win Miss America in 2014, acknowledged that she would probably not have gotten very far in Indian modeling because her skin is too dark.
Oh,
Indo-Aryan
really?
groups that are on the
Her
fringes
skin's
of the subcontinent.
They
Yeah.
think
the
she's
Assamese,
I
dark.
guess so.
in
Yeah.
the far northeast of India, or Nepalis in the far north of the region, generally have anywhere from 15 to 20% admixture from the neighboring East and Southeast Asian people, since Tibet lies directly to the north of Nepal and India, and Bangladesh and Assam are very close to the border of Southeast Asia. There are even states in northeast India that are inhabited by Tibeto-Burman people or Thai-speaking peoples who appear to be more closely related to Southeast Asians than other South Asians. Also, western Pakistan is inhabited by the Baloch and Pashtun people, two ethnic groups that are of Iranian descent, being more closely related to the Persians of Iran. There's also a relatively small group called the Brahui people, who are the last remaining Dravidian-speaking population in all of Pakistan. The rest of the country is almost entirely inhabited by Indo-Aryans, such as the Sinti people.
God, this is
and
complicated.
There's so many different
largest group in the
people
region
with
by
different
far
ethnic
We're running
groups.
out of colors to
peoples
use.
of northern India at around 600 million people. Although, as mentioned earlier, they can be divided into many smaller sub-ethnicities, such as the Biharis, Rajasthanis, and Chhattisgarhi.
These are some
people.
names we
And
recognize.
They probably wouldn't really appreciate me all that much calling them all the same ethnicity, but really I'm no expert on the subject. Other distinct Indo-Aryan groups in India include the Marathis, the next largest people, who inhabit the state of Maharashtra, which contains Mumbai, or Bombay, the largest city in all of South Asia, the Gujarati, who are most famous for being the main merchants and traders of India, and the Bengali people, who are divided between the Indian state of West Bengal and the independent country of Bangladesh, with most Indian Bengalis being Hindu and most Bangladeshis being Muslim.
Oh.
The Punjabis are tricky because nearly all of the Punjabis of Pakistan are Muslim, and they far outnumber the Punjabis of India, who are mostly of the Sikh faith, which, no, isn't a part of Islam or Hinduism. But
I
at the
did. That's a new thing. I heard of the Punjab people that are. Oh yeah, because wait, is part of Punjab in Pakistan?
That's what
He
they're
was
saying. Yeah, the Punjab
So I didn't
region.
even know that the Punjab region in Pakistan.
Yeah, for some reason I seem to
didn't
think we
know.
were talking about that the other day. But yeah, no, this is interesting,
I
and I didn't
just
know there was
blank?
quite such a distinction there, where there's actually a lot of Muslim
I just
individuals.
didn't never
on
realize
the,
that. I thought like the whole like because I thought Punjab
was sort of
is an Indian
within
state.
India entirely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I kind of had that. Well, I had that misconception too.
So-
religion of its own. The main Dravidian groups are the Tamils of southern India and northern
Oh,
Sri
Tamil.
Lanka,
Are we have been saying it wrong the
Malayali
whole
people
time?
of Kerala,
maybe.
the Telugu people of Telangana,
Telugu.
Andhra
Is that
Pradesh,
Telugu?
Telugu.
and the Kannada people. That's right, Kannada.
Kannada.
Of Karnataka. The Tamil
We've been saying
people in Sri
Kannada.
Lanka have had a long and bloody conflict for independence from the Sinhalese-dominated government, who are actually the only Indo-Aryan group that is almost entirely Buddhist. There's also a large minority of mixed-race people in South Asia, known as the Anglo-Indians, getting their namesake from their paternal English ancestors. When the British troops were first stationed in India in the late 1800s, they didn't bring their families or wives, since they had a life expectancy of only around 8 months, and as such often had affairs and even sometimes married the native Indian women.
Sorry, I didn't get to fully read that.
Yeah.
Islam.
Oh wow,
So
he converted to Islam. Wow.
to marry her. At least he had that enough respect to do that.
And as such often had affairs and even sometimes married the native Indian women from many different parts of the country.
Reminds me of here, Métis
Okay.
is a usually Aboriginal female
Mm-hmm.
and like a French man.
Yep. Yeah. So sort of what some people might refer to as a mixed race individual.
Yeah.
Mixed race marriages were later deemed illegal by the British government in India, but by that time, the damage had been done. Over the past couple of centuries, they created their own communities, intermarrying within their own group, creating their own ethnic identity. Today,
Interesting.
they number up to 1 million people, which may sound like a lot, but this is only 0.1% of India's population, and are scattered throughout the country, with many more having moved abroad to other areas of significant South
they're
Asian
showing,
diaspora,
where
such
people
as the
generally
UK,
come from.
Australia, Canada, the US, and Southeast Asia. Other much smaller groups of foreign extraction in India are the Zoroastrian or Parsi people, who are of
Heard of that.
Persian Zoroastrian
Oh,
origin.
isn't that Freddie Mercury from Queen? We learned about
Okay. Yeah.
because isn't that also a faith, a religion? Zoro.
It
is
sounded
something-
like it is. Of course, you guys.
Yeah,
will
I remember
correct
looking
us,
that
but
up.
And that's sometimes the challenge. And I have to apologize that we watch these videos.
Yeah. His parents are like Indian Parsi.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised to hear that. One of the challenges that we have learning about India is that we'll watch a video like this, and then there'll be a few more like months, and then we'll watch another one, and we've kind of forgotten some of the bits and pieces, or if not a lot of the bits and pieces. So we are going to try and be more concerted in our efforts here, watching more about the history of India and the politics of India, so that we can start to retain some of this information, because it is kind of hard when you're seeing these sort of scattered videos here.
And the Sidi people, who are of Southeast African Bantu origin and were brought to various regions of India as slaves by the Arabs and Portuguese.
Oh dear.
Although discrimination based on skin color has historically been quite high in the Indian subcontinent, in modern India, the main distinction is generally not between race or ethnicity, but religion, with many families actually being quite tolerant of marriages between Indo-Aryans and Dravidians, yet the stigma between interfaith marriages remains at around the same since the partition of India in 1947.
Oh, wow,
Because
okay.
of migration, intermixing, and assimilation, the people of India and South Asia are one of the most fascinating and unique populations of the planet, and one that everyone should learn about, even though I probably horribly mispronounced every name in this video.
Oh, there you go. So he
Thanks
probably
for
got it
watching,
wrong
everyone.
too.
Yeah, maybe.
This has been Mason, and I'll see you next time.
Wow.
Okay, awesome
'Cause
video. Very well done.
Yeah. You know, sometimes that's happened where we've watched a video and we go, oh no. And we're thinking, oh no, we've been mispronouncing it the whole time. And then someone in the comments will say, actually, you guys got it right. They got it wrong. But I have a feeling in this case, it might be a bit of a mixture here, because I know that we have been pronouncing some of these, regional words incorrectly. So hopefully one day we'll get on track for that.
So again, that was from the channel Massa Man. So thanks for the video. And I find it really interesting. And like before we started reacting to Indian content, like I had no idea.
India was just India.
Of the diversity.
Yeah, exactly.
So many different languages.
Yeah.
The different ethnic groups, everything. Like, I just thought there was like a few main languages. I knew there was Punjabi and Hindi.
Yeah.
But I really didn't know about like Telugu,
I had
Malayalam.
no idea. Yeah, no, it was.
All the other ones.
Exactly. No, it's certainly we have a unique
Tamil.
insight into what's going on due to the fact that we're doing all this reacting, and it's been so special to learn about all the different regions or all the different states or all the different areas. I know sometimes you want to get the right word for that. I've said the wrong word before.
The things that help me remember are like celebrities, and like I make associations.
Yeah.
So like Yash is from Kannada.
Yep.
Which is in this state, he speaks Kannada as a language. He's from Karnataka.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't remember the city, but that's the state.
Yeah.
But Karnataka, Kannada sound similar. And then, like, I know he's from that place. So, and then, like, KGF is in Kannada and whatever. And then I remember that it's in that language, I guess. And then it's like, oh, Freddie Mercury, I remember his parents were Indian Parsi or that. And he also I remember he looked more Persian or Iranian. And then it's just like I make the connections of like, it just makes me remember it when I know of a person that's from that place or that thing.
That's
and I
right,
associate it. I was like, oh, okay, that's, what Indian Parsi is or that, or like, migrants from that region and this. And then, I just want to get to know more of like more states and where they're situated. Like I know hardly any. Finally figured out Punjab is like very north. Realized just now in the video that part of Punjab is actually in Pakistan. So
well, I knew that before we got into this, but I thought you did as well too, because you were the one that was telling me. So I think you knew it, and then you forgot about it for a second, and now you're rediscovering
it,
which is exactly what happens when we watch these videos so far apart, right? And I'm getting.
But I'm like, how does that like? Do they call it Punjab in Pakistan as well? Like, does the state have the same name? Because that's just an interesting thing to me. Because that would be like us having our own Washington state. Like it being like sort of Canada and US. Like this, like usually you would just cut off the it'd be like once it's like the different country, you'd have your own name maybe for that state, but then also will partition. It would have they would have just kept it maybe like Punjab. They would just kept it.
Yeah,
And
because
they're
they
like,
drew a
now
line,
it's-
right?
Yeah, and it's not like we
yeah.
had a partition or anything
No.
to where it was one country and one
And then
you know,
it was sort of
state, so they wouldn't have to rename it.
arbitrarily split
Yeah.
in two in the
so
way
I
that.
just figured out how that happened, but
Yeah, and of course we hear a lot about
because Kashmir too, part of that is part of Pakistan, no, it's all, isn't it?
No, it's
supposed to be
it's-
all India.
well,
but a little part of it is part of Pakistan. or
yeah, there's parts of it are sort
tensions
of
around
there's tensions around that. That's maybe the best way to
Right,
put it. And
right.
some parts are occupied by the Indians and then the Pakistanis there. So
Yeah.
wow, geez, yeah, I'm thinking like we almost need to do like a few videos on each of the areas and sort of make our way through it because there's so much to learn, you know? And I know that we've talked about migration and I know that we've talked about genetics before because it's been mentioned in another
Yeah.
video. It's been mentioned in the comments. So we just need to do a better job of, watching more of this stuff with you guys.
I want to know, like, with the Bollywood stars and that, like, they're saying, he was saying it's like advantageous to have the lighter skin
Yeah.
or whatever. It's like they want that aesthetic.
Yeah.
Does that come from India being like influenced by Britain when it was occupied, like having just the fact that they were occupied by Britain, and like is it that influence at all, or is it just like
or perhaps they had a
where does that come
preference
from?
for lighter skin in general, even before the
like
Brit-
even
Yeah,
like it
that's-
wouldn't have mattered,
I was
about
kind of wondering
that,
if they
but-
would get into that a little bit, sort of where that preference
because it also
comes
said
from.
European look.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack here, and clearly we're not the ones to do as
Well, it
the
needs to be
unpacking,
like a
but,
full on protest going on. Like in the West, we have had like, there's been advocacy for having different races or ethnicities in the
being
films and
represented in
stuff.
films, and
But Canada we don't really have our own film industry. It's more like Hollywood.
yeah, we kind
But
of
in Hollywood, there's a big push. Yeah. And even like we'll hear, Indigenous people, there's like just more representation. Even our commercials, like they want to have it like diverse.
very diverse. Yep.
So
And he
in
seemed-
India, I
yeah.
feel like they should have this.
Well, he seemed to
It's sad
indicate that
that-
there weren't really any darker skinned actors or actresses that were famous. So that was an interesting claim, and I wonder if
There's
that's true.
some
Yeah.
for sure.
I would
There's
think
like
so.
the older actors too. It honestly, like, I was sort of looking into it the other day because I was like curious about it and everything. And it seemed to be too that it was almost more, it seemed a little bit more modern of a thing. Like way back with their older movies and everything, it seemed like it didn't matter as much. And it's also like maybe they also weren't using like the whitening creams or trying to do all this
okay.
like,
Well,
that the ability to do that or have like these like whitening treatments like came like after, and then like maybe these people, there was this competition too because like certain people start doing those treatments and then it's like all of a sudden everyone's doing, it's like the tan thing here. It's like everyone's competing to be the
Yeah.
most tan,
Yeah.
and then you get like tan mom taking her kid into the tanning salon. That's a story for another
That's
day.
a whole
But
probably one you don't need to know.
It is upsetting to me of this, like, I love uniqueness too. And I think that should be really valued. Like, it's boring when everyone looks the same too. And that there should be like diversity, or like, it's just sad that, it's like, actors trying, like, they feel like they can't be themselves, and like to get the role that's like, oh, I have to try to lighten my skin. Like that stuff can be dangerous, and it's just,
Well,
Anyways.
I am curious what you guys have to say about it, because maybe you can fill in some of the blanks. Maybe there's some other videos that we can check
Yeah.
out related to this. Like I said, we need to be more sort of organized in the way we approach some of this stuff so that we can retain that information. So please bear with us as we sort of increase the amount of content that we're going to be reacting to based on India, its culture, its history, and if you'd like to be along for that ride.
click the subscribe button, click the bell, choose all from drop downs to get updated every time we upload. If you enjoyed this, please click the thumbs up and please comment down below. Try and answer our many questions.
Yeah, there's
a
more
lot.
questions than anything else, but we
Yeah.
love you a whole lot.
Love you guys.
This is Internet Rabbit Daily. IRH signing off.
Bye.
Bye, guys.